What's up, you guys? Welcome back. Hope you all enjoyed your 2021. We are going to start off the new year, continuing the end of the year awards for 2021. This time we're going to be talking about a big one here, a big award. What was the best commander option we received in 2021? Now, thank you all for participating in the polls. I set up a bunch of them. For round one, I went through pretty much most of the commanders, at least the commanders that people actually built decks around, and ended up creating 28 separate polls, trying to figure out which ones were going to end up being the most popular. This is going back to the first set in Kaldheim, where we have a pretty well-rounded set as far as legendary creatures go. As far as what you guys enjoyed, it seems to be pretty even. Orvar the All-Form is probably the most popular commander from this set because it has one of the more unique abilities. People like copying creatures, getting creature tokens, and they also love some spellslinger targeting strategy being thrown into that as well. Esika God of the Tree is pretty much a 5-color, good stuff commander option. If you decide to play the reverse side, it does make it pretty easy to just get value every turn. You don't even really have to guarantee you draw into anything good because you're going to get it off that enchantment. And Lathril Blade of the Elves wasn't in the main set, but still a very popular commander option that came with the adjacent commander product. And the following set for the year was Strixhaven, where we ended up getting a lot of these legendary dragons. Galazeth Prismari, if you're more of a fan of a competitive commander option. I know people tried to fool around with CEDH possibilities, I even did so. However, you decided to play with it, still interesting. And then we have Dina Soulsteeper, a competitive option as well. Black and green, more focused on life gain in this set. And this is to go along with Beladros Witherbloom. Another great option, but along with Strixhaven, we also got the Commander 2021 product, which I'm not the biggest fan of. I kind of stayed away from it. But hands down, the most popular commander from that set was Ozkyr the Reconstructor. Everyone talked about this, maybe the most interesting of the commander options, just because it does involve getting copies, it does involve the graveyard, so there is some late game potential, whereas a lot of the other commanders didn't quite seem as interesting. And then Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. Easily the best part of this set was the fact that we also got a commander product with actual full-fledged commander decks, not just something that was supplemental with a few new cards. No, these are full-fledged commander decks with a lot of new stuff, and we're talking about Prosper Tomebound here, Sephirus of the Hidden Ways. I think these two were ones that people enjoyed the most. And outside of something maybe like Volo Guide to Monsters, not a ton of options from the main set that really incentivized players to experiment. So it's worth pointing that out. Now for moving on to Modern Horizons 2, we can't go the video without mentioning Chatterfang Squirrel General. Anytime you introduce support or make a previous tribe that people have always wanted to experiment with viable, you're going to get a spike in popularity, and that's exactly what happened with Chatterfang. And you also ended up getting quite a viable competitive commander option as well. So not just a solid one to make the strategy a thing, but one that actually has power behind it, so there was an upside there. Scythus Harvest Hand is probably one of the best commander options from Modern Horizons 2. I know a lot of people liked building around this commander. Like with Prosper, it's a value engine, not going to do all of the work herself, but it's going to make it a lot easier for the rest of your deck too. And then moving on to the later sets in the year, we started off with Innistrad's first set, Midnight Hunt and Lear Disciple of the Drowned. It's a very interesting commander option, focusing more on flashback. So yeah, it's a little bit powerful. Even had Old Stick Fingers, a lot of graveyard-focused commander options. I think Midnight Hunt and Kaldheim offered, as a set, they each offered, probably in my opinion, the most commander support, like giving you a wide variety of commander options, things to experiment with. A lot of the other sets just gave you maybe a couple good ones, the rest just seemed to lack a bit of luster. Tovolar Dire Overlord is easily the most exciting commander option if you were looking for something new to build, because while we've had commander options that worked well with werewolves, we've never had like a werewolf commander that specifically synergized with werewolves. And Tovolar kind of continues the trend of card advantage, an emphasis on your commander being a card draw engine, a way to speed up your deck, make the rest of your deck work rather than the other way around. And then for Crimson Vow, we have a very exciting commander option that I did not anticipate being this popular, Toxrill the Corrosive. Again, it continues that trend of a value engine on a commander where you are able to draw cards, but Toxrill kind of takes it a step further. You also have the ability to punish your opponent's board presence, adding those counters onto their creatures, making them less effective. You get rewarded with that with creature tokens of your own, so there are a ton of ways that you can synergize with that. The Crimson Vow Commander set actually introduced even better commander options here in Millicent, Restless Revenant, and Strefan, Mara Progenitor. And while in the previous set, the tribal synergy was obvious, you had zombies, you had humans, vampires and spirits just seemed to be a little bit cooler. There was power behind a commander option like Millicent, and with the new blood tokens being introduced, there were things to experiment with that you didn't previously have. So the way we decided this, we went through all the different rounds of the polls. First round featured several creatures, about 28 polls in total. Round 2 featured 6 polls, and then round 3 featured 2 polls. So skipping to the semifinals, these were the ones, out of all the previous polls mentioned, made it to the very end. We had Orvar the Allform, Osgir the Reconstructor, and Prosper Tomebound. This is what people voted for. Again, we have fun commander options like Orvar and Osgir, doing something new that people like. They want to fool around with it, but in the end, Prosper Tomebound ended up winning out. People like the value, they like building a deck around a commander, and the commander making the entire deck work for you. It's not the other way around where your commander puts in all the work and the rest of your cards are just there to support your commander. The rest of your deck is already good. Prosper just adds a little bit of flavor there, allowing you to benefit off of playing everything from exile. And the second round of the semifinals here featured Scythus, Harvest's Hand, Tovalar, Dire Overlord, and Toxrill the Corrosive. Again, people love value engines. All 3 of these commanders draw you cards people just like Scythus. It's a little bit more consistent. Very cheap commander here too. So you know how this is going to end. Final round time, Prosper Tomebound versus Scythus, and Prosper won decisively. I think it just speaks volumes. Again, this is what people prefer. They like a consistent value engine in a commander regardless of the commander's colors. Evidence of that is, of course, both of these commander options being completely different colors. It really just boils down to what was the most interesting while also being a good value engine. And Prosper just ended up being an exciting commander to build around because we already had a ton of these play from exile cards. It's just we never did this before. So we never had this kind of benefit to playing cards from exile. So it really opened up a door for this strategy. So whenever you're allowed to experiment with a strategy that you've never played before, that's usually going to excite more players. Enchantress strategies have been around a little bit longer, so while Scythus is still incredibly popular, Prosper definitely deserves to be considered the best new commander option from 2021. Thank you all so much, and stay tuned because we're going to be doing more polls to figure out what the best overall card from 2021, the best overall new card was. It's going to be decided between the winners of each category here. So if you need a reminder, we have categories such as this one. We have the best Planeswalker, best enchantment, best artifact, best removal, best card draw, best creature ETB, and we're going to be figuring out of all of the winners, what is the best card overall. Thank you all so much. Thanks for participating in these polls. I will see you all next time.